for engineering fees. You've had 2 engineering fees against it. They condemned it. Now you're still going with it.
Well, it depends on the purpose, I guess, that it's being used for.
What's the purpose?
A civic center at this point.
Well, why, when it's been condemned?
Well, they're having the people are testing it to see.
Actually, yeah.
It's been tested. Been tested twice.
Just once I'm aware of.
Yeah, for different reasons.
For different purposes.
But I should mention that the town actually hasn't spent a nickel on this yet. Town hasn't spent anything on site acquisition, and the cost of testing is being borne.
Can you speak a little louder, because I don't...
Yeah, well, I can't speak. Okay, you want to shout?
Yeah, please shout.
Council hasn't spent a nickel on this yet, and the testing, the engineering testing, the cost of it is being borne by the Civic Center Board. And council, as the citizens are awaiting the results of that particular study. And council then will have adequate information to determine whether the site is satisfactory or not.
That wasn't what it said in the Courier.
Well, you can't go by the Courier. You know that, Had, for heaven's sake.
That's the only paper that we have a chance to read that gives us the information on local people.
We have some really good reporters, okay,
well,
but I can only lament, okay, that perhaps there are slips in error.
You really do, but your people are going to spend money.
But look at me, council spends it. I don't spend a nickel.
Oh, yes, you do. You're the one to spend it.
Not necessarily are we going to spend money, Had. If those results are not satisfactory, and this is a major problem, then I think that has to be looked at, you know.
Well, why wasn't the first engineering report turned down?
I don't know the answer to that.
Why are you going for the second one?
That's all right.
The first report, as I understand it, said that there would be an excessive amount of work have to be done in order to make the site buildable. In short, they'd have to do a lot of remediation, more than what they were willing to pay, and therefore it was shelved. It was still the preferred one, they still wanted to be there, but they just could not justify the expenditure of doing the remediation. What has changed is the federal government is now willing to pay a significant amount of money to do that remediation, which means that the Civic Center Committee does not have to pay for it, but what they do get is a site, which is the one they originally wanted, but would now be remediated to a point where they could do the work, or build it there. Now, the report that Henrik is talking about is supposed to be out already, but it isn't. That report will be it's the Environmental 2 Impact Study. You know what that means. Anyway, that report will give us some sort of an idea what the cost will be. It'll give us some sort of an idea what needs to be done. And as you say, you know quite a bit about it already, but the point is, they will assess that, and the federal government will decide whether they're willing to fund it as much as good. It could come out within the budget they're prepared. It could come out much more. I think what we really should as a council be doing here, both Mr. Tapley and a number of other people are concerned, is making a commitment that we will have some sort of public meeting when that report comes out. So that report is made public so that everybody knows what there is in there, or at least as much as we all know. We'll know the expenditure, and we'll know where the money's coming from, and we'll know what sort of commitment the town is being asked to make, if any. And as Henrik said, at this point in time, the town's not being asked to make any expenditure to that remediation. Now, my feeling is, right now, we got a big chunk of land in our downtown that is useless, other than beautiful view. Because we can't do anything on it because it's polluted, and we can't afford to remediate it. If the federal government is willing to come in and remediate that for us, and allow us to use that land, then I would think we are winners all the way down the line. But on the other hand, if it's going to cost the taxpayer, vis-a-vis the town having to cough up money to do remediation, I will not support that.
Okay.
But I do think what we need to do is be more, it's moving from the Civic Center Committee controlling this process to the council controlling this process. And one thing that the mayor has indicated and the CEO has indicated, and I think all of us agree, we need to have more openness and more explanation so that people get more input as we move from step to step. But to ask people now to make a decision on whether we should build there or not before they see the report, I don't see that as being practical, because they're not making a decision based on reality. They're just, you know what you saw in there, but we don't know if it's going to be a hindrance to building, whether they can build on it or not, what the rules are. But the thing is, we have to, I think, as a council, make a commitment to have some sort of a public meeting when that report is out.
If I may, and also, on top of that, the money that the feds are willing to put forward is above and beyond the $6.2 million that they've already, and we do not have to match those dollars, so they're free dollars totally.
100% dollars.
100% dollars from the Fed.
But you're still fighting a dead horse when you got other sites in town. And you're going to spend $2 or $3 million here that could be used to refinish the arena so that you'd have the second ice. You're pouring this money down the drain just to move 2 or 3 sewers and a water main.
And there's other aspects related to that site selection that can't be discussed in the public forum because we're still dealing with a businessman that owns the land and all those negotiations. So you can't fully disclose those things in those private matters until all the information is made available that way. So that's why you can't talk about the negotiations as negotiations are going through, because there's a sale of property involved here. So they have to have some respect for the business owners involved. And that's part of the reasons why there hasn't been a lot of discussion in the press at this point in time.
Well,